You're raving, you're raving, you're raving with RWR. Fabulous songwriters from Belgium and beyond, the lowlands, the highlands, and far across the pond. On Instagram and Facebook too, you can follow, like, and share. Please hit subscribe and join the tribe from the comfort of your chair. You're raving, you're raving, you're raving with Hello and Happy New Year, dear friends, and welcome back to Raving with RWR. I hope you're all doing fine and well on this, the 9th of January. Freezing cold down here in Bonny, Belgium, where I'm based. Dahi RWR is my name, Irish singer-songwriter, and you have reached my YouTube channel, Songs from the RWR Room, dedicated to singer-songwriters from Belgium and beyond. If you're new to the channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button down there. That helps the channel a lot, gives the old videos a thumbs up, all that good stuff. You can, of course, go to therwrroom.com and check out the merch store as well, or indeed find the virtual tip jar down there below in the links if you'd like to donate to the show, help us along the road. All donations greatly received. Tonight's show brought to us as always by the great people of G Sharp Guitars, the world's finest travel electric guitars over there in Kansas, by way of Norway. So check them out as well, please, if you would. Great to see you all. We have some live viewers already, which is lovely to see. We have, of course, from Germany, we have Chris Link. How are you doing, Chris? Welcome and good evening to you. And again, our Belgian stalwart, good girl, and again, thanks for tuning in. It's weekend. She doesn't have to go to bed early. That's nice. Good to see you, girl. How you doing? If anybody has questions or comments, or you'd like to just drop in and say hi to me or my guests tonight, please do so, wherever you're watching from. And if I can, I will put your comment up on screen right there for you. So yeah, so tonight's guest is in Nashville, Tennessee. He's one of my favorite songwriters in the world, probably. He's definitely, not probably. He has written so many great songs. His songs have been covered by Nancy Griffith, Peter, Paul and Mary. You know, he's written for Guy Clark. All these great people. Loads more comments coming in before we go to Nashville. Hi, Nessa. Great to see you. Nessa Brosnan is in Cork. Mr. Mojo there down the road. Good to see you, sir. Nice to see you too. A man from Frozen Hell, the boy from County Hell. Oystein is there in Norway. Good to see you. People from all over, and the brilliant Dennis Kelleher, great writer and friend to the show as well. Dennis, welcome. Anyway, let's go over to Nashville and all going to plan. See if Buddy Mondlock is in the house. Welcome to the show, buddy.
Hey, nice to be here, Dai.
Thank you so much. Happy New Year to you.
Yeah, and to you too, and to all those joining us around the world. Apparently.
Yeah, some lovely comments that are coming in, and some great viewers. It's afternoon in Nashville. How's your morning and afternoon going?
It's been a good day for me so far. It's just kind of a gray, cold day out here in Nashville right now. Yeah, not too sunny at the moment, but
no, but sure.
I'm inside where it's warm.
Yeah, we got to create our own sunshine, don't we? Sometimes.
Yeah,
we do. Yeah, but it's great to have you on the show. As I said earlier, just you're one of my top songwriters. It's a great honor to have you here talking with us today, buddy.
Well, thank you. That means a lot. Appreciate it.
You're very welcome. You know, we have a lot of mutual friends in common. We have Ireland in common, of course. I've never been to Nashville, but we'll talk about that. I want to start sort of back in your 20s. You're not Nashville born. You are Chicago. You're Chicago born, and you have brothers and sisters. And were they all musical too, or was it only yourself that kind of went forward in the music game?
No, all of us. Excuse me. All of us were musical in the eventually. My sisters, they're only a year and 2 years younger than I am, and in high school we used to all sing together, the three of us, as a group called Sail Away, titled for the Randy Newman song. We used to do a lot of Crosby, Stills, and Nash. They would double up on the harmony part, and I'd sing the melody, and Brewer and Shipley and stuff like that, you know.
There's nothing like harmony voices or that blend as well as family voices, really.
Well, yeah, when it's siblings, it's just it's kind of like dolphins all going together.
It's an amazing the waves
thing. There, yeah.
Yeah, it is.
And then my younger brother also, he's about 6 years younger than I am. So he was too little to be in the group at the time, but he eventually started rocking on electric guitar, and
Ah,
he's played in a number of bands. He still lives up around Chicago.
wow. So
Hmm.
everybody sort of dipped their toes in the water of the music business.
Yeah.
Are they writers as well, or mainly musicians, buddy?
John, my brother's written a few things. In fact, he came up to Nashville one weekend and we made a little EP for him with my rudimentary studio that I had at the time.
Yeah, we were talking
Yeah.
about the soundtrack. I was gonna ask my next question about your did you dip into any home recording in your career? I suppose you did. You just said you did there. So
Oh yeah, I started with the old Tascam 4-track, the 244. The
wow,
4-track cassette. We're talking cassette.
you're
So yeah,
talking
this is a
now,
tiny
really?
little piece of tape with 4 tracks on it.
Isn't it crazy?
But it taught me the basics of overdubbing and bouncing tracks and things like that. At least how
Yeah,
to do it on that machine. It
at
was
least that.
great. A great experience. I had really had fun doing it.
Yeah, they were great fun. I dabbled a little bit in them, and then I got out of them, and then the digital thing happened, and
Yeah.
I try to follow it myself from that point of view. There's lovely lady there in Ireland watching Gillian shoot.
Ah, hi Jillian.
She's
She's
been
a
queuing up for 3 days waiting for this program. Now
she's a
we were
good pal. She's really a
she's
great
what a
friend
songwriter.
and a wonderful songwriter and singer too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. We did a chat we did one of these some months ago,
Oh,
and
good.
yeah, so we were fighting over who loves you more, her or me. We were going, I love him more. Oh, I love him more. And she said, no, I think she won. But nice to see you, Jillian,
Yeah.
tuning in. Thank you very much. And we have Monica Nordley as well, of course, from Oslo. So nice to find the songwriters on singing the lovely "Coming Down in the Rain" for years. Yeah, Monica,
Oh, nice. Thanks, Monica.
you would have. I think when we met in Oslo, you were with Annika Failing and her show. Is that right? When we met for the first time in August,
Yeah.
we were doing something, and Monica and Steiner Robertson were there, of course, as well. Brett Perkins, and that was my first introduction to meeting you in person, and it was a wonderful. I think one of Annika Failing's songwriting retreats, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Yeah,
Might have been
I've been a guest at those a couple of times. 20 yeah, last year was the first time. 2019.
was it?
Was
Okay.
the most recent time rather,
What's the
not the
most
first
recent time?
time. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Sure. Do you do a lot of co-writing? But I know you do seminars and that, and you talk about it and so teach it. But do you find it a very different thing than sort of a lot of songwriting is very much a solitary deal, or can be. But
It
do
can
you
be,
prefer
yeah.
one over the other, or do you think uh, each thing has its goodness?
Yeah, for me, it's important to do both. I mean, I never did any co-writing before I came to Nashville, but when I got down here, I quickly discovered that that was kind of how 95% of the songs in Nashville were written, were
Oh yeah,
co-writes. And, I was a little hesitant at first, but then, somebody like Janice Ian comes up to you and says, "Hey, you want to write a song together?" I'm like, "Yes, I do."
well, think
I,
about
I, I will not say no to that idea. Yeah.
yeah, amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
You've co-written with so many greats, which we talk about. We have Janice Ian, of course. We have Guy Clark. We have people like that. We'll have more conversation about that as we go along. So you didn't always live in Nashville, no?
No, I grew up in a suburb of Chicago called Park Forest, and pretty pretty great place to grow up, as it turned out. A lot of kids my age. It was built after World War II, kind of as a town from the ground up. It didn't just sort of come together organically. They planned it all out, and basically a place for soldiers coming back from Korea and World War II to start families and have their first little starter homes and stuff.
Yeah,
And so yeah, it was you know really lots of kids my age on the block, and we all still have kept in touch to some extent too. Some of my best friends, are people I've known since I was 10 years old.
still.
Yeah.
And what about the whole Kerrville connection then? Did you live in Texas, or did you just go down there to perform, or what was the story behind that?
Yeah, originally I had met the great folk singer and songwriter Bob Gibson. Opened a show for him one time, and at that time he was teaching the songwriting school at the Kerrville Folk Festival in Texas, in the Hill Country in Texas, and he encouraged me to come down and check it out and maybe go to the school and see what the festival was all about. And unfortunately, I was planning to go, and then I got in this bad car wreck right before the festival. And so I didn't go, and it was like 5 years later, a couple of friends of mine in Chicago said they were going to go down there. And I thought, yeah, I should really do that, you know? And I was so glad I did. They have this thing called the New Folk competition, and it's a way to bring songwriters who are maybe not quite in the public eye yet out kind of to the front and get them some attention. And at the time, I think there were 40 songwriters, you know, who were in the contest. And that first year, I sent in my tape to apply to it, and true to my form anyway, I got it in a day too late, so they just sent it back. But I thought, oh, well, you know, I've already put the time aside. I've been planning to go, so I'm just going to go anyway and not worry about the contest. And it was the best thing I could have done, because all the pressure from that was off, you know. Worrying about that, and I just met people and really just fell in love with the place too. You camp out there, and just I met all these peers. You know, I had some peers in Chicago, some other songwriters I was hanging out with and sharing stuff with. But at the Kerrville Festival, you're finding your tribe, you know, from all over the world, and you know, all over America for sure, but all over the world really. People are coming from everywhere.
Was it at the same time you met Guy Clark and Nancy Griffith? Or
it is, yeah. Yeah, that first festival, I think it was 1986, first time I went down there. And I had seen Guy the year before in Chicago. I'd seen him perform and was completely blown away. There's a song he sang in particular, That Old Time Feeling. And there's a line in there like, that old time feeling comes creeping down the hall like an old gray cat in winter, staying close to the wall. I'm like, oh my God, I know exactly what that means, and no one ever said it like that before. It was just amazing how much he could evoke in just a few words, you know. So I noticed on the schedule of the festival that he was going to be hosting this thing called a balladry, which was basically just an open stage, you know. And anybody could sign up. It was in the afternoon, and they always had a main stage performer hosting it. So I thought, if I go to this thing, I can sign up for this. I'll actually have a chance to shake Guy Clark's hand.
Wow.
That was my total ambition there, and
you got to do that, of course.
I got to do that, and then eventually it came around to my turn, and I sang a song called "No Choice." I'd just written it, and after the whole thing was over, he just walked straight up to me. You know, I'm kind of wondering where he's going, and he stopped in front of me, and said, "Hey, I like that song. Do you have a tape of that?"
Wow.
And I did. When I regained my power of speech, I said, "Don't move. Stay right here. That's my tent over there, and I'm going to go and get you a tape." And I sprinted to the tent, and luckily I did. You know, I had a little cassette with that song and a couple others on there.
Recorder.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, this is the 4-track.
Yeah.
Just hot off the Tascam press.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Wow. And so from there, we'll come back to Guy, but from there, we're going to jump over to Nancy Griffith and Coming Down in the Rain. I mean, one of the first times I would have heard that song was from Nancy Griffith's Other Voices, Other Rooms, and I believe she probably put it, I'm sure she had it on an album as well, which I can't recall. But how did that cover come about? Was that one of your first big cover versions, or was it? It was one of the earliest that really got some attention. I think at that point David Wilcox maybe had already recorded The Kid too.
But I was a huge fan of Nancy's, and Guy introduced me to her at the festival, probably not the first one, but a couple years later. And not long after that, after I met her, maybe in 92 or something, or 90, she was doing a segment for a show on RTE that was being taped in Nashville. And she was trying to think of someone else, to have as her guest, and she thought she'd get some relatively unknown songwriters on, and
Yeah.
She invited Robert Earl Keen, who she knew from Texas, and remembered me. Because Guy had, when Guy Clark introduces you to somebody, it's a little bit different than somebody just walking up and bugging you,
You remember. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
So I sang Coming Down in the Rain when we taped that show, and I think maybe we're going to look at that in a minute here.
Yeah, I've got it lined up.
And then a year or so after that, Jim Rooney, who I'd met, a producer in Nashville, who had done some of my favorite Nancy Griffith records, I ran into him and he said, I'm going to be working with Nancy again, and she's doing a whole album of other people's songs, not her own. Do you have anything? And I thought, well, she might remember this one because I played it, when we did that taping. And sure enough, she went for it.
There she is. And there you are.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about the haircut as well or not?
Well, we all have those. Well, nowadays you all have those videos out there that you think, why did I ever think that was cool what I was wearing there?
It was fantastic.
It seemed cool at the time, that haircut.
No, wonderful. Well, we're going to play. This is a big song for you, Coming Down the Rain. So maybe when we come back after, Buddy, we talk a little bit about the song itself. If that's okay with you?
Mm-hmm.
Let's give it a spin, folks.
Yeah.
In the company of Nancy Griffith here, the wonderful Buddy Mondlock, and Coming Down in the Rain. It's an old footage. You may need to turn this up a little bit, folks. The audio is from the 80s, I believe, or so. Check it out. As is the haircut, right? But we won't.
Yes.
Lift into the wind like the ashes of her cigarette. He got scattered and thin on the breeze as he tried to forget. He lost all his teeth and his heart never will be the same. He got lighter than air, but he'll only come down in the rain. Strung out and hung out to dry, flapping under the light. It's not such a dignified place, but he really don't mind. He says with his feet on the ground, he'd have nothing to gain. Claims he likes it up there, but he'll only come down in the rain. Coming down in the rain, washing out of the sky, loaded down with that pain. There's just no way to fly. You can read on as clear as the wall where he once wrote his name. It was right next to hers, but it'll only come down in the rain. Burning himself out on a limb like a leaf in the fall. He blazed for a while, now he's feeling all dried up and small. all gone, disappeared near as quick as it came. He says he can stay up, but he'll only come down in the rain. Coming down in the rain, washing out of the sky, loaded down with that pain. There's just no way life. You can read as clear as the wall where he once wrote his name. It was right next to her, but it'll only come down in the rain. You can read as clear as the wall where he once wrote his name. It was inside a heart that'll only come down in the rain.
The classic, Coming Down in the Rain. Beautiful, buddy. Yeah, one of your top songs. Just to let the listeners know as well, of course, that when we bring in these videos, folks, they get filtered through the whole internet system. So I would advise you, please go and check out these videos yourselves on your own systems and your own YouTube, because obviously when I bring them in here, they get a bit squashed from time to time, you know. But lots of great comments and feedback there, buddy.
Good deal.
Songs. A lot of people, as Chris mentioned in that comment as well, a lot of people know your songs without knowing where they came from, without knowing you. I suppose that's the true mark of a great songwriter, actually, to me, is that people know the songs first.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, and yeah, to me too. I mean, it says, okay, well, that means other people are recording them, and you know, that just to have somebody else take the time to learn one of your songs, that just I'm thrilled about that. You know, that anybody likes it well enough to learn it. You know.
Yeah, it's a wonderful compliment. Mm-hmm. If you're lucky enough to have that happen, of course. Yes, how lucky we are.
Yeah,
I know. But anyway, as you said, upwards and onwards. What were you doing prior to this crazy lockdown? You had tours planned, you had gig stuff. You were always touring and moving and traveling, and like everyone else, you just got, you know, this dead end happened. And how did you handle that, or did it throw you back into like heavy writing again and organizing for the future, or did you take a step back and pull back from it?
Well, I had been on the road. I just come back from a month on the road, basically out to Washington State and Colorado and doing gigs there, and just got home to a tornado. Luckily, my place was okay. But about the middle of March, I had one gig in town here, a place called Douglas Corner, and decided to go ahead with it. At the time, you know, it just seemed like the pandemic was something that was happening, you know, at a few nursing homes. So we did it. It was March 14th, I think. And the next day, that club closed down and never opened up again. So yeah, I've just been hanging out at home. I've been doing some live stream concerts, you know, like on Facebook Live. It's kind of settled into about once a month on those. And
have you got one coming up, by the way, that we should mention?
I do, yeah, I do. Let me check the calendar here, but it's going to be about 2 weeks from now, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, it's on the 23rd of January.
23rd of January. Okay.
Yeah, and you can see that on my Buddy Mondlock music page on Facebook.
Yeah, this one here, folks, and I'm flashing on screen. Everything is linked below, folks, so please check out these links for Buddy, and everybody can get your music. They can buy your music, I guess, through buddymondlock.com and hear your album.
Yeah, and iTunes and stuff like that. Yeah.
Great. All right. Yeah, I'm just curious, because some musicians, you know, really kind of bury themselves in the work and in the art and the craft, whether it be writing or learning new instruments, or better in the old ones, or.
You would think that this was a time for, to really dig in on writing or learn how to play the piano, I had all these ambitions. I still haven't cracked open that beginner piano book. I don't know. There's a kind of a lethargy that sort of settles over you in these conditions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although all that said, I have been doing some writing via Zoom and FaceTime and stuff like that, and really like those songs the way they've turned out. And also, about once a month or so, I've been just getting together with a few friends at one time on a Zoom session and just kind of recreating the song circle in the living room that
Oh, that's lovely.
that we typically might have done, if we were all able
Yeah.
to get together. The
Great
nice thing is
idea.
that I can invite folks from Seattle and
Yeah, like this.
Massachusetts
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
like we're doing here. Yeah,
What we're doing here, just
yeah,
chatting, from Belgium to Nashville via the
exactly.
power of technology, and how lovely it is, and how lucky we are to have it. But that's a great kind of an in the round, in the
Hmm.
online in the round. Great idea. I might have to steal that. We'll see.
Yeah, just sharing. It's just for us. We're just sharing songs with each
Yeah,
other, but it
not
keeps me
broadcast.
connected
Sure.
and gives me a little inspiration to have something new to play too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Do you think that the scene, all the years you've been in Nashville, has it changed a lot since you
Oh,
arrived?
geez. Yeah, I mean, it's changed a great deal. When I
Mm,
first got here, I never really considered Nashville as a place to live. I just thought, oh, that's country music. It's kind of corny. I don't really like country that much.
yeah,
I mean, what I had been exposed to was mostly, just sort of that 70s, really sort of slick, corny stuff, urban
yeah,
cowboy and all that.
indeed, yeah,
Yeah, and but then when I met Guy, he really encouraged me to come check it out, and I started getting calls from people like Jim Rooney and Bob Doyle, who eventually became my manager. Bob was working at ASCAP then. So when I first got here, well, first I discovered that Nashville is really even more than a country music recording town. It's a song town. It's about songwriters and new songs, and that they were open to stuff, at least hearing it and appreciative of stuff that wasn't just the same old stuff I was hearing on country radio. That it was
yeah,
actually, if it was a good song, you got people's attention here. And so when I moved down here, um, country music, which was sort of the money machine driving the town, at least the music part of this town, was maybe, third on the list of popular formats. And
uh-huh.
within a few years, Garth Brooks bursts on the scene.
Mm.
I was lucky enough to know Garth a little bit because we had the same manager.
Oh well,
Yeah, same managers. But his stuff just blew up, and
yeah,
suddenly country music was the most popular format
that's right.
in the country, and so all this money came in to Nashville, the music business in Nashville, and publishing companies were signing a lot more writers, and so it kind of really opened up at that point. Um, but since then, with streaming and they tried their best to suppress it, but it wasn't going to happen. And you can get anything, you can listen to anything you want to on Spotify now or Apple Music for a subscription of $10 a month, and you don't. That used to be what you pay for one download of a album,
That's
or
right.
$15 if you bought a CD somewhere. So all that money's gone away,
Yeah,
and the
and
you
the
know the
mailbox money, the
yeah,
royalties as well.
yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah. I mean, you still get royalties for radio play and stuff like that, but and somewhat from Spotify, but it's much less than it used to be. So interestingly enough, the industry used to be driven. The tours were a way to promote record sales. Now making recordings is a way to promote the tour.
yeah, it's
Uh,
gone full circle. Yeah,
yeah,
flipped.
yeah, and
That's
of
right.
course, this year there is no tour.
To make it worse, of course. Yeah,
Yeah.
so we need you buying Buddy Mondlock CDs, folks. Get on that website. Um, remind me again the date of your next live stream. What we have
January 23rd It'll be live at, I believe, 7:30 Central Time in Nashville, 7:30 p.m.,
Right.
which puts it kind of at an
Kind of
awkward
late for
time
us.
for you guys in Europe. But
Well, we can watch the
um,
rerun.
yeah,
Yeah, we
but yeah,
can.
the nice thing is all these videos that I've done are actually available on my music page on Facebook, Buddy Mondlock Music,
Fantastic.
so you can
We
watch
definitely,
after the fact.
we
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. We'll go and check that out when it streams. Before we talk about Guy Clark, I want to backtrack a bit and just I asked you before we played "Coming Down the Rain" if there was a story behind the song or what
Yeah,
inspired
yeah.
it. It's not too private.
No, no, no. The song was originally inspired by I saw a film that Clint Eastwood directed about Charlie Parker, the great jazz saxophone player,
Yeah.
who was, a pretty troubled guy. He was a heroin addict, and this was his life story. In the film, there was a scene where he's really kind of hitting bottom. He's in the back seat of a car. It's nighttime in New York City, and they pull up to this corner, and he's trying to score, and the dealer, who's actually in a wheelchair, rolls over to the car. He looks in the window, and he sees it's Parker in the back seat there, and he knows he doesn't have any money. And he doesn't say anything to him, but he just kind of looks at him and sadly shakes his head as if to say, "I'm sorry, man. I just can't help you out this time." And
Yeah.
Parker doesn't say anything either. He's smoking a cigarette there, and you see him framed. The camera's in the car with him, and the city is out the window, dark and behind him. And he puts a cigarette to his lips and draws on it, and the tip glows really brightly just at that moment as he inhales. And just then, this little ember, like, broke off the burning tip of the cigarette, caught an air current, and went out the window, and was gone in the city, and just winked out.
Mm.
And I thought, oh my God, that was him right there. That's
Yeah.
Parker, that little spark, drifting away and flickering out.
Wow.
And I woke up a couple of weeks later at 4 in the morning with the first verse to "Coming Down in the Rain" in my head, based on that image. I mean, the song itself isn't really about Charlie Parker, but that image in the film just took hold of me. Yeah.
Amazing. No, it's great. It's amazing what will spark something like that, for want of a better
Yeah.
word, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it can be a painting, it can be a movie scene, it can be something
Yeah.
someone says. Yeah, it's great. Thanks for sharing that. It's just nice to get a little bit of insight into it, because it's one of my favorite songs. You have so many great songs, and it's very hard to pick songs even for tonight. But the next song I do want to play is called "Mud," and
Sure.
you were saying how great it was to write with other people. And wow, how great was it to meet and write with the great Guy Clark?
Yeah, well, just kind of amazing. I was pretty nervous. I mean, Guy's the one really responsible for getting me to Nashville. He liked that first song that he heard and the others that were on the tape, and called me up a few weeks later in Chicago, in my little apartment there. And basically the conversation we talked for a little while, and he finally just said, "Well, buddy, what do you want to do?" I'm like, whoa. Guy, I just want to keep making music and somehow make a living out of it. And he goes, "All right, well, let's see if we can get you in the music business." And he proceeded to do just that. He started making copies of the tape and others, and passing them out to people. So that was my introduction to Nashville. I mean, Guy, just out of the generosity of his spirit, making me a project. And it worked. I ended up getting a publishing deal. But in spite of, how nice he was to me, it took me years to get the courage up to ask him to write. And when I finally did, I just happened to bump into him in the vegetables at Kroger at the grocery store, and said, "Well, you want to try writing something sometime?" And he said, "Okay, give me a call. We'll set something up."
Wow.
Yeah, and I remember the first time I came down, he had this workshop in his in his basement at the house he lived in, where he built guitars. He built these beautiful
That's
guitars
amazing.
there. And there was this old plywood work table that he'd made, all scarred up and burns in it and stuff. And he was sitting on one side, and I was sitting on the other, and he's across from me, rolling up cigarettes and other things. And I'm looking out of the room. It's like, oh my God, what am I doing here? And there's this picture of Townes Van Zandt up on the wall, a headshot of Townes. And Townes is just kind of glaring down at me like, all right, kid, you're here. Don't fuck it up. And I was like, oh man.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah. But then Guy looks up and he goes, hey, you want some tequila? And things just kind of relaxed after that.
Good. It was all good.
Yeah, it was all good after that.
All good after that.
Yeah.
Wow. And so, what was the spark for the song Mud?
Well, I knew I was going to be writing with Guy, and I didn't have anything. I thought it would be good to at least have some kind of nugget to bring in, if he likes it, that maybe that would be something that we could work on, rather than just, sitting around awkwardly wondering where we should start.
Yeah.
So there's a creek that runs down behind the houses across the street from me, and I just went down there to be by myself and think a little bit and see if I come up with any ideas. And of course, I didn't think I had any, so I just started writing about whatever was, right in my immediate vicinity. And so I'm just writing about the light streaming through the tree and the mud by the side of the creek and the green-backed heron that I'd seen in there. And
Wow.
I just had some of those images that I showed to Guy when I came in that day. And yeah, we just started riffing on that whole idea of mud and, just free associating.
Yeah.
And the song followed from there.
Followed. Well, we'll give it a spin. I'm just going to check with the song. This performance was taken from the Old Town Pickin' Parlor in Arvada in Colorado.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My friend Dwight Mark made this video. He was sitting in the front row.
All right.
Yeah.
Beautiful looking in the round kind of a gig as well. And yes, so we'll give it a spin, buddy. And thanks to Soul Strong YouTube channel that I'm stealing this from today. So here we go, folks. Let's have a listen to this. Another gem from Buddy Mondlock and Guy Clark this time, and it's called Mud.
There we go. There's enough mud in the song already. Down by the creek where the water flows smooth, the greenback tin and the moccasin. All things come to him who waits, yet he is lost to hesitate. Life and death dancing around in the mud. The light comes down through the limbs of leaves and valleys, the water between. The air tastes green, the bank gets soft. Right about then your shoes come on. Gotta get it between your toes, the mud. Mud pie, mud pie, mud on the snake bite, don't you die. Take a little rain, take a little dirt, you make a little mud, get it on your shirt. Earth and water make a mighty fine mix. Some say that was God's biggest trick. He went down to the creek to play, made girls and boys and laughed all day. And some say we just crawled out of the mud. Mud pie, mud pie, mud on the snake bite, don't you die. Take a little rain, take a little dirt, you make a little mud, get on your shirt.
When I die, please bury me down by some muddy creek. Let the crawfish have their way. It's mud to mud, and that's okay. We're all just slogging through the mud. Mud pie, mud pie, mud on snake bite, don't you dare. Take a rain, take a little dirt, you make mud on your shirt. Mud pie, mud pie, mud on snake bite, don't you dare. Take a little rain, take a little dirt, you make mud. Wipe it on your shirt. Mud, mud, mud.
Gorgeous. Well done, sir. Marvelous. But you got two songs out of Guy Clark. You're saying you got that one and How Dark Is It? Is it? Or The Dark?
Yeah, it's just called The Dark. Yeah, and actually The Dark is the first thing we wrote together. It was interesting because again, I just came in with a little fragment, some images and stuff. Just, falling asleep the night before our appointment. And, it's like, what about this?
Yeah.
And so again, we just sort of started brainstorming on the dark, what the dark means and to different people. And
Gorgeous, cool.
And we got to the end of that first day, and we still didn't have any kind of a melody. We just had, this string of images on the page.
Yeah.
And I'd come up with a few chords that I was suggesting maybe we could make a melody from. And Guy said, "Well, I'm getting tired. Let's quit for the day. But before we go, just so we have some kind of a version of this, just play those chords and read what's written on the page. Don't sing it, just read it, and with the chords in the background." And so I did, and we listened back to it, and we kind of both went, "Geez, I think we're done." Maybe that's all it needs to be. Yeah. So the whole song is a recitation.
That's the mud one, the dark song.
The dark, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Amazing to have two songs of that caliber from the wonderful Guy Clark. May he rest in peace. You can't see it here, but I've got a big picture of Guy Clark over my Kaiser capos up here.
Is he glaring down at you?
We're talking about you, sir. We're talking about you. Yes. So Guy Clark and a friend of mine called Deirdre Gallagher from Tullamore, so Texas Tullamore. Yeah. That's my corner up there, and they're looking down at me, watching my every move. Sean O'Neill mentioned here that, is it true that he used to finish when he built the guitar, he used to put a bloody thumbprint, like his fingerprint in blood inside the guitar? I heard
he did it. Yeah, he did indeed. You know how you see the label of the maker in the inside the sound hole, and all of his guitars had his thumbprint, and it was blood on that label there. Yeah, and actually his album called The Dark, which had I was one of the proudest moments of my life, because the Mud was the opening song and The Dark was the last song on that album.
Amazing.
Yeah, wow. But the cover of that album is that thumbprint.
That thumbprint.
Yeah.
Thanks for mentioning that, Sean. There you are. Oh, it is true. Mm-hmm. It is true. Speaking of guitars, what is that Martin guitar of yours? Tell us a bit about this. That lovely Martin guitars.
This is it here. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. That's the same guitar that I was playing in that first video in the early 90s, and in the last video too. I mean, that's my baby there.
Yeah.
It's a Martin D35. I got it used at a place called Guitar Works up in Evanston before I came to Nashville, Evanston, Illinois, just north of the city. And a friend of mine had gotten a D35 a year or two before that, and I just loved the sound of it because it has this really rich bottom end to it, and just really taken by it. So I just went on a hunt for D35s, and
Yeah, it was my weapon of choice too here. Yeah,
yeah,
they're amazing,
yeah.
amazing.
And I just played as many as I could, and
Yeah,
I picked that one up. And I thought, all right, I'm home. This is my baby here. Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, well, I do a thing called In Tune Tuesday here on the Instagram and Facebook, where I ask musicians such
Mhm.
as yourself to send some pictures of their babies and some info about them. So maybe
Yeah.
we'll do one of those down the road.
Yeah,
And
that guitar's a 74, I think,
is
which,
it 74? Okay,
yeah.
so wow.
Yeah, I got it in 82 or 3. 80, no, well, maybe a little bit before that, 80 maybe.
Yeah,
Um, and yeah, I just bought it used. But the nice thing about buying used guitars is they're often a little bit cheaper than the brand new
yeah,
ones. At
indeed.
least they were then. Martin's were
But
then.
play it in,
And
of course.
yeah,
Yeah,
but it's broken in, and it already sounded amazing to me. And it's just
yeah.
gotten more and more beautiful as time goes
As
by.
time goes on, so lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the great thing about high-end instruments. They do that, don't
Mhm.
they? They tend to
Yeah, the good
season out.
ones.
They sure do. They tend
Hmm.
to season a bit, yeah. And but it is gorgeous. I think I heard it in real life that time I met you in Oslo. Yeah, it blew me away too. D35s. I think 2015 was when I got mine. Was happened to be the 25th or 50th anniversary of them making. I think 25 years maybe of them making D35s in
Uh-huh.
2015 as well. So it was a double special guitar for me at that time too. But yeah, long may you roll with that baby, that's for sure. It's beautiful. I want to go on and talk a little bit about Poetic Justice, another huge pivotal
Sure.
song for you. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I wrote that with Tom Kimmel, who's an old friend of mine. And we'd known each other for a few years here in Nashville. We've been introduced, and just I love his work. I was already a fan then, and we were getting to be
Yeah.
friends. And we decided to take a whack at writing a song together. This time I didn't have anything going, and after sitting around talking for a little bit, Tom said, I've got this thing that I'm got quite a bit of it. I've been kicking it around for about a year, and I just can't seem to finish it." He goes, "You want to help me work on this?" And he played what he had, including that beautiful little guitar lick that kind of rolls through there, and immediately I just connected to that. Tom had a big chunk of it already written, but he was just stuck. And
Yeah.
sometimes you just need somebody else, with their own perspective, but who gets you to
Uh-huh.
come in and say, "Oh, well, this is what we need to do. This is the way." Just to be able to look at it from outside. Sometimes that'll do it. So we finished it up that afternoon, and yeah, sure. I'm grateful to Tom for inviting me to help him with that. That's a.
Do you know what he based it on, or any kind of info about
I
the
don't.
background, the
I
idea?
don't think I'm allowed to tell you that.
Okay,
Yeah.
I understand. I understand. That's
Yeah,
fine.
I know where it came from, but
Sure.
I don't know if he'd want
It's
me to share it.
a
Yeah.
personal song, but there was a line in it about where the queen loses faith, and I never rang the bell, and I thought that came from maybe some kind of medieval context or something like that.
Oh, yeah, sure. There's a lot of sort of, you know, like the King Arthur's myths and all that kind of stuff
Yeah,
that's kind of permeated in our culture, Western culture anyway. So that was the metaphor that seemed to make the most sense to
indeed.
Tom. Yeah.
Wow. Hi, Kendra. Okay.
Yeah. Hi, Kendra.
Kendra,
She's a
yeah.
good friend.
See ya, and she loves Poetic Justice, as I do too. Yeah, very much so. Thanks, Kendra, for tuning in. Well, let me load the song up. Tell me, you played this song in the workshop of a guitar builder, and you're playing on one of his guitars. Tell us a little bit about that, please.
Yeah, I'm in Michael Greenfield's workshop up in Montreal. I had done kind of a house concert basically in the workshop the night before. And he asked me if I would just sit down and play a couple of songs on one of his guitars. Now, Michael makes these incredible high-end acoustic guitars. And I got introduced to him from my friend Melissa Greener, who's wonderful songwriter and
She is.
singer. Yeah, she's super talented. And Michael was an old friend of hers, so she kind of we went up there for a visit one time. That's how I met him. So I got to play one of Michael's beautiful guitars, which, frankly, I can't really afford myself. I'd have to take out a mortgage, to get
Did
it.
he try to make you buy one, did he?
Yeah. But they're worth every penny, believe me. I mean, yeah, these are so lovingly constructed, and they're just magical instruments. So it was really a pleasure to play. And I was just going to do a couple, and I ended up, I think, recording 10 songs that day.
Well,
I had a nice mic and
it sounded
a professional camera, and I said, can I keep going?
Well, let me play the song. Let's dedicate it to our friend Gillian over in Ireland, who's a huge fan of yours and your songs. I know Maura O'Connell recorded this song, as did many other people, I believe.
I was just thrilled that Maura recorded this. Boy, there's not a better singer.
Oh man, no way.
Yeah. One time I got to sit in a round with her at the Bluebird in Nashville, Bluebird Cafe. So there I am sitting knee to knee with Maura while she's singing my song. I just,
Sing your song, yeah.
you could drop a bus on me, and it's like,
I know.
This is a good life,
Yeah, we've reached the pinnacle. Fantastic.
Yeah.
But it is a fantastic song. So we'll give it a spin. Why not? It's a beautiful version, recorded. Greenfield Guitars is the man who builds these instruments. Yeah. This is a lovely version that you've done in his workshop. I don't know if he puts bloody thumbprints on his labels either or not. Probably not.
Probably not. Yeah.
Probably not. Poetic Justice, folks. One of the most amazing songs you will hear from Buddy Mondlock.
So I was not the one you wanted. You can see I'm reconciled. Was you be so disappointed? Could you not carry on in style? Is it too much to say we loved hard till the world fell back in place and left us where we are? I feel like the king when the queen loses faith and the crowd rushes in to tear down the gate, while the whole palace slept and I never rang the bell. Maybe that's poetic justice, but it's pretty hard to tell. Fortune wheel is spinning. Luck is fortune's dirty joke, and a player's chance of winning is diminished by his hope. Can't you laugh just to think of the gold we had running through our hands when we were on a roll? I feel like the king when the queen loses faith and the crowd rushes in to tear down the gate and declare what was mine I stole from someone else. Maybe that's poetic justice, but it's pretty hard to tell. It's hard to tell why the solid ground surprised us when we fell. It's hard to say it's life or death, or just so many bitter words beneath your breath. Is it too much to say? We loved hard till the world fell back in place and left us where we are. I feel like the king when the queen loses faith and the crowd rushes in to tear down the gate. All the whole palace slept and I never rang the bell. Maybe that's poetic justice, but it's pretty hard to tell. I feel like the king when the queen loses hope and the crowd rushes in to praise the gallows pole and declare what they must do unto and to myself. Well, if that's poetic justice, how can anybody tell?
If that's poetic justice, how can anybody tell? That's just an awesome, awesome song. I've loved that from the moment I heard it many, many years ago. I don't know how many years ago you wrote that, but it wasn't today or yesterday, as they say in Ireland.
Yeah.
Long
I guess
time
it
ago.
was in about 95 or so, somewhere in there.
95. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And the co-writer on that was
Tom Kimmel.
Tom Kimmel. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard his name around
Check him
Nashville.
out, man. He's an
Yeah.
amazing songwriter, wonderful songwriter, and performer too. I mean, it's really fun to listen to him do that song and his other ones too.
In his own style, yeah, I
Yeah.
can imagine. What's your attraction to Ireland? And I know you, apart from the IMRO workshops that you do and the seminars, and you have a fondness for my native country, and
Yeah.
you've been over and back a lot, and you've had some great success, have you?
I love it over there. I got picked up by Sun Records, SON, which was an offshoot of it was a little label that the band U2 started as an offshoot of Mother Records. So they had Mother and Son. Just to kind of try to release some stuff that was a little off the mainstream. And I happened to meet David Pennyfeather, who was representing the company at the time, and he was in Nashville to kind of organize Garth Brooks' first concerts over in Ireland. And my manager and Garth's manager, Bob Doyle, was taking him back to the airport in Nashville, and he played a couple of songs from a record I had just finished recording, but didn't have a label for or anything, and David liked it, so ended up picking it up for Sun Records, and that was my introduction to Ireland. When the record came out, I got to come over, and they set up this thing for me to do Kenny Live, the Late Late Show with Pat Kenny.
Yeah, Pat Kenny was doing it at the time. Yeah, wow, Kenny Live and the Late Late Show.
Yeah,
Well,
and they set up a few gigs along the way too, and I just fell in love with being there and the look of the place and especially the people I met. I thought this just feels right to me, and so I've just kept finding ways to keep coming back. I play there almost every year. I would have been there this year too, except for the pandemic.
exactly what Nessa Brosnan was saying down there. She
Yeah.
wants to do it as she can in West Cork.
Ah,
Well,
nice.
Nice one, Nessa. Yeah, when the word breeds once again without COVID. Clonakilty in West Cork. 'Cause that's
Yeah, some of my best friends are in Clonakilty and environs around there in Sands Cove. And yeah.
Tell us about Innisfree tours and what that entails, and we'll give that a plug as well, because that's something you're involved in Ireland.
Yeah. Quick aside, Nessa, say hi to Eugene for me. Eugene Brosnan is
Indeed.
a great Irish songwriter and performer.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, over the last 5 years, besides doing concert tours over in Ireland, I've also been bringing over Americans and a few others who kind of signed on too to do a little music tour on a small bus of the west coast of Ireland. So we have music almost every night.
Wow.
We stay usually in smaller hotels and
Yeah.
along the coast, either sort of Court Carry and Clare, or lately we've been doing some all the way up to Donegal and Mayo and Clare, or Donegal and Galway and Clare. And oh, it's really fun. It's called Innisfree Tours, and we have an Irish bus driver and tour guide. My job mostly is to gather the folks up who want to go see Ireland, and to make sure everybody's having a good time, and to play some music for them along the way, and introduce them, to the Ireland that I've come to know and love.
Yeah. And you've been doing that for quite a few years then.
Yeah, I think we've done 5 or 6 of them now, and hoping this summer. Anyway, so far everything is still planned to go ahead. We'll have to
Yeah.
see where things are with the inoculations and stuff like
So-
that.
So can anybody book on this Innisfree Tours, or is it mainly for musicians like from your side that come
No,
with?
you don't have to be a musician at all.
Oh, okay.
It helps if you like music, because
Sure.
that'll be a good part of it. But we spend plenty of time also just on the history of Ireland, and
Yeah.
one of the nice things is we stay for 3 days everywhere we go. So you're not jumping on the bus at the crack of dawn every morning and driving all day to get to the next place.
Okay.
Kendra, I see Kendra's left a note there.
Kendra,
She's
yes.
come along a couple of times now.
Ah,
Yeah, and so
So
we'll
Kendra
go
had
see
a-
the sites during the day, and get a lot of the history of Ireland. We might see some of the sites might be stone circles, or
gorgeous.
or the beautiful coast. As you know, the coast of Ireland is some of the
yeah.
most beautiful landscapes in the world, and seascapes. Yeah.
The wild Atlantic way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then music at night is really kind of magical.
Sounds amazing. Yes, it does. It sounds like a wonderful time, among all these music lovers and musicians, and the middle of beautiful Ireland.
Yeah, well, check it out. InnisfreeMusicTours.com, I think. Yeah,
A scan, have a look, and maybe you can book on to one when Buddy's over in Ireland. Maybe this summer, all going to plan.
yeah. I think we've got one planned for July anyway. We'll see how it goes.
Have you?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll keep an eye. Keep an eye on that. Anybody who's joined us late, folks, you're very welcome. This will be rewatchable as a stream later on YouTube. 23rd of January, your own live stream, and you can find that, folks. Please give Buddy's page a like there and follow his stream on the 23rd of January. It'll be late here for us Europeans, but again, you may we'll tune in around 7:30 and see it. But we'll check it out in the rerun. How's that?
Sounds
We'll
good.
do that. Let me see. Is any more comments before I say good luck to you? Monica wants to do that. She says, "Let's go, D. Yourself, Miss Monica Nordley. Mondlock. Can you imagine the harm we do, Monica Nordley, if that happened? And we were in with Nessa Brosnan and Eugene Brosnan. No. Okay, it sounds great, but it could be dangerous.
Yeah, look out, Ireland. Red Davies coming home.
You're very welcome, Monica. It was a lovely show. Absolutely, still a lovely show. Thank you so much. But before we wrap it up, there is another song that I want to get to called "The Ugly One." Can you give us a little bit of background about that and tell us what that's all about?
Yeah, I was on one of those songwriting retreats as a guest one year, and this year, instead of in Sweden, it was on the little island of Inisheer, in Galway Bay out there. Yeah, and we'd get paired up with a different person every day. There was about a dozen of us, I think, and this particular day, I got paired up with Parish Brown, who lives in Galway, a wonderful songwriter and just a beautiful human being too. Just really wonderful guy. And our assignment was to walk around for 45 minutes or so and just pick up some natural rhythms. It could be the waves lapping on the shore, or a bird, or something like that. And one of the rhythms I ended up with was in 5/4. It was, let's see. 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3. And I, as an old fan of early Peter Gabriel records and stuff like that, I always thought it'd be cool to write a song in 5/4. And Parrish decided he'd go with it with me, and I was just scratching on the guitar, playing that rhythm, and with no chords or anything. I'm like, Parrish, are you getting a grand idea here? And he said, no. He said, but it sounds kind of primitive to me, and just that word primitive, and our location too, with all the history, and we've been looking at beehive huts the week before, and so we kind of got going on that riff, and I remembered reading those books like The Clan of the Cave Bear that Gene Aul wrote, that were so interesting, of novels about sort of early Homo sapiens and the Neanderthals at the same time, when they're all living at the same time, and the cave paintings that they were doing, and so that's kind of what inspired this song, was thinking about that first artist who decided to make pictures on the wall of the cave and signed it with a handprint.
And why the ugly one? Why the title?
Well, I remembered from the book that the main character, I forget her name, she was sort of adopted by a Neanderthal tribe, but she was a modern Homo sapien. And so to them, she looked sort of deformed and strange. She didn't. She had a different shaped head, and I think Daryl Hannah played her in the movie. So to us, she may have been beautiful, but to them, she was the ugly one.
Oh wow! Because she wasn't okay. I see. Well, we're going to give that song. We'll give that song a play as I say goodnight to you and to our listeners. It was an absolute pleasure having you on here for an hour, talking about your wonderful songs, and thank you very much, buddy.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Thanks, Dahi, for having me here. And I should preface the video by saying that it was created and edited and filmed by my friend Larry Collins, who was one of those guys I grew up on the block with in Park Forest, in that little town. Yeah.
Beautiful. Back in Chicago,
Yeah. So thanks again for having me. I really have enjoyed this and love to do it again sometime.
You're one of my favorite songwriters, buddy, and it's lovely, great honor for me to have someone of your caliber come on and talk to us here on the show. No. And I wish you all the very best with whatever the future holds. I know Gillian was happy to see you as well. I was too. Yes, hope to be back in July. She said Gillian, so I hope so. We'll all be back flying in July, Gillian.
No kidding.
Absolutely, we hope so. But thanks once again. Have a happy New Year, buddy, and a great day over there in Nashville. Keep the flag flying. Keep doing what you do.
The right flag.
Keep doing the right flag flying.
Jesus.
And stay safe and well in these troubled times. We didn't even dip into the.
I know we could have gone there.
I was too enthralled by the musical stories to damage it with talking about what your commander-in-chief is at the moment, but we won't go there. We leave it at that, and take care of yourselves, and thank you very much again, buddy, for being here.
Yeah, lots of love to you and everybody tuned in. Thanks, Dahi, for having me.
You're very welcome. Ciao. Now you are, folks. The brilliant Buddy Mondlock. Lovely to have him all the way from Nashville there. It's afternoon time over there, and evening time here in Belgium, and I'm going to shut the machines down here and say goodnight to you all. Thank you all so much, whether you tuned in from Norway or America or Ireland or Belgium, Germany. Thank you all very, very much. I'm back again on Wednesday night, the 13th, Wednesday night, the 13th of January with Petra Jordan, great piano player, songwriter from Slovakia. So tune in on Wednesday night for that if you can. I'm going to try and live stream here every Wednesday and Saturday on Raving with Rua. For January anyway, we'll see what the months bring. Take care of yourselves, everybody. One and all, good night. Stay safe and well. I am going to leave you with this wonderful song called The Ugly One, which is from Buddy Mondlock. Take care. All the very best. Enjoy this great song, folks. Thank you, buddy.
I am called the ugly one. They say I was found not born. I take my place outside the fire, for I am strangely formed. But I dream pictures, I draw on the stone. I can use the fire stick, I use the white rock too. Red blood from my fingertips, and the flower that bleeds blue. I dream pictures, I draw on the stone. Make my mark when the mountain top explodes. Make my mark when the healing berry grows. Make my mark when there's nothing left to eat. Make my mark when we finally kill the beast. I am old and ugly still. I hear the spirits call, but I will leave my handprint here.